All right, good morning everyone, or good afternoon everyone for that matter. Hopefully everyone's doing good, and we are so lucky to have another awesome guest here for our Bean Bag Banter program, and this is Atty. Shultz.
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again.
Yes,
Thanks for having
me. Likewise, thank you. So, we chose this backdrop in his new office. You just guys moved there 2 weeks ago?
Yes, just 2 weeks ago moved in.
It's really awesome, so feel free to go ahead and drop by and say hello to really friendly people here, and obviously very competent individuals in helping you out in your work injury or auto accident cases. And again, the reason why we chose this background because we know he's such a devout family man, and here are the pictures of his beloved family, so I think this is a great spot right here.
Great, yeah.
All right, great. Cool, thank you. So, the purpose of the Bean Bag Banter is so that our guests would be able to know more about what they need to do, what they need to pay attention to whenever they get into an accident. So, do you want to discuss a work injury first, or auto accidents? Which one?
Yeah, I specialize in work accidents, so I just wanted to focus on those. I know you've had a lot of good, competent people that have sat in these bean bags the last couple of years that deal with auto accidents, and I specialize and focus on work injury specifically.
Work-related injury. Okay, sounds good. So with work-related injury, what are some of the common things that us community members may not know when we get injured at work?
There's a couple things that are really important to know. Number one is that when you get injured on the job, you should report it right away to a superior, supervisor. You should go seek medical treatment right away. You should tell the medical provider exactly what happened to you, how you're feeling, how you got injured, what happened at work. You should seek treatment with a doctor of your choice, which is really important. People don't know that all the time. They think, hey, I'm being sent to a certain provider that my employer sent me to. Well, you don't have to treat at that provider. You can treat anywhere you want to treat, like we talked about in the past with your facility as well. So those are the key things to do right away. Report it right away, document the injury right away, and go seek treatment with a doctor of your choice right away.
Of your choice?
Of your choice, absolutely, yes. Yep.
And then, is it possible that an employee or associate will go ahead and say, no, I don't want this to be taken against me, or anything to that effect?
Well, if an employer is pushing back on you reporting an injury, then you should definitely do it. Because you're required in Maryland to have workers' comp insurance. You know, at my company, we have workers' comp insurance for our staff. I'm sure you do as well.
Yes.
So if your employer is pushing back on you going through workers' comp, saying, oh, we'll just take care of it on our own, just go ahead and treat, we'll pay you, that should be a huge red flag for an injured worker. That should not happen, right? So you should, if they won't fill out any paperwork, you need to go get treatment on your own. You need to go see an attorney right away who specializes in workers' comp so they can get a claim filed. At that point, once we file a claim with the Maryland Workers' Comp Commission, the employer and insurer can't say we didn't know about it, because once you file a claim to the commission puts the employer and insurer on notice of the injury.
And speaking of authorities, if somebody gets injured, why do we need to communicate with you then? If I already did the proper channels of filling out the paperwork and I was able to go to the doctor of my choice or medical professional of my choice, why should we still work with you guys then?
Good question. People think that by filing a claim or that reporting an injury and the employer sends it to an insurance company and you get a phone call from an insurance company and that insurance company sends you a claim number and they're communicating with you about your injury and they're even paying you, you think, hey, I've got a workers' compensation case. Well, you don't. You don't have a workers' compensation case in Maryland until you file a claim with the Maryland Workers' Comp Commission, which is a state agency, which is where we come in. Every insurance company that I deal with, they've got attorneys that are working on their side to protect the interests of the insurance company. As an injured worker, you should absolutely have someone on your side as well that helps you navigate the workers' comp wilderness, as it were, to make sure that your rights are protected. So it doesn't cost you anything to get an attorney either. So you don't pay anything up front for a workers' comp attorney. We get paid out of what we get the injured work at the end of the case.
In terms of the settlement, if you may?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
yes.
All right, sounds good. And I think that's the most important thing that community members would know, because as a civilian, or even before I was with AAA Physical Therapy, is that I thought always working with lawyers is that I always have to pay up front. So I'm already injured. Why do I have to work with you and spend paperwork with you and so on and so forth? When in reality, you're there to go ahead and help us out.
Correct. And so the way that Maryland law is that we can't get paid up front. Mm-hmm. All of our fees have to go through and be approved through the Maryland Workers' Comp Commission.
And on that note, so again, once you file the paperwork and then once it's submitted to the state, that's the only time, if you could run that by me again, that's the only time that you would be able to, that the case is finally in, right?
You have a workers' compensation case, meaning you have protection under Maryland law once you file a claim with the Maryland Workers' Comp Commission.
The Maryland's Commission.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, sounds good.
And that's a state agency. All they handle are work injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the commission is not. It's not Judge Judy. It's not some big jury trial. It's not scary. It's people who go there that focus and specialize in workers' comp. Mm-hmm. Commissioners who are all great are. That's what they do. Is they don't do anything else but work injuries. That's what they deal with.
So what are the other benefits then that if I mean whoever, knock on wood, all right, somebody gets injured at work, what do they do then? And if they do all of those paperwork, why do they still need to work with you then? What else is there to their advantage?
Well, the disadvantage of not getting an attorney is that the insurance company has attorneys that are on their side. Mm-hmm. And unless you've been through this process before, you wouldn't have any idea about what your rights are. And you're not going to have any clue whether the insurance company is doing what they're supposed to be doing. We help navigate that. Can you do it on your own? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Can you go on the Maryland Workers' Comp Commission and file a claim on your own without an attorney? Absolutely. Can you go to the commission and can you go to court to represent yourself? Absolutely. What happens though when you walk into that commission, the first thing they're going to say is, Mr. So-and-so, I understand you don't have an attorney. This is the commission. Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't have an attorney, Commissioner. You understand that it doesn't cost you anything to get an attorney, and that once the hearing starts, I can't help you with the hearing. The defense attorney, who's an experienced workers' comp defense attorney, mm-hmm. is going to be at an advantage. Do you want time to get an attorney? So commissioners urge people to not represent themselves. They want people to, I mean, I wouldn't represent myself mm-hmm. in a legal matter that I don't know anything about.
Exactly.
You know, so I wouldn't represent myself in some sort of case in an area of law that I don't do. Mm-hmm. And I'm an attorney. So you're at a distinct disadvantage by not doing that.
And I think that's the most important thing that for everyone to go ahead and note. Again, first, look for somebody that would be able to represent you, because we are not experts in this realm. Even if we can read it and understand whatever the paperwork that they're looking for. But the reason why, how many years did you study for this? I mean, just think about that. How many years?
Yeah, I mean, it's the law school is one thing and the bar is one thing, but it's also how much workers' comp have you done, right? I mean, how long have you done workers' comp? You can be an attorney for 25 years, but if you've never done workers' comp, you wouldn't know. You want someone that does that specializes in that. And also, I think one thing that an attorney that specializes in workers' comp is very, I know we are, mm-hmm. you know, my goal for every one of my clients is they get better and they get back to work.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. That's my number one goal.
Mm-hmm.
And as attorneys, at least at our practice, we are very focused on making sure that our clients are treating with facilities just like your facility at AAA Physical Therapy that also want the same thing. I mean, they want people to get better and get back to work. And we make sure our clients are going to those facilities so they're getting better and getting back to work. So if you have attorneys that don't know how to identify mm-hmm. those providers, it's an important part of our practice that we're getting our folks into good treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other important note to identify that you shared is that the individuals who have this case, they have to go and be disciplined with these medical visits.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it could be taken against them.
Yes.
All right. So for us, it's not a matter of just following with a plan of care in terms of their treatment plan, but at the same time, because obviously once it goes into that realm, if you're missing so many appointments, then now the other side can already go ahead and say, well, since you're missing all of these appointments, seems like you're already good and you don't need whatever else medical need that you need.
It definitely comes up, at a hearing, a defense attorney will bring up, isn't it true, Miss So-and-so, that you only attended 25% of your physical therapy visits? You don't want that to happen.
Yes.
Right, and so, we're fortunate enough that our providers will let us know, and it doesn't happen that often. Most clients want to get better and get back to work, or in some scenarios they're just so busy with their life, they're single moms, single dads, and they're missing visits here and there because of life.
Yes.
Right, and so it's not that people don't want to do it, it's usually life related. And we're able to communicate with them and say, hey, listen, it's important that you're going to your visits, you're finishing your therapy, so you can get as good as you can possibly get.
Okay, sounds good. So, all right. So those are some of the really important points so far that we have to go ahead and get into. And any other points of conversation or that us community members may be missing out whenever an accident takes place?
Yeah, I think there's lots of, I could bore you all for hours on this, but I'm not
We're
going
comfy
to.
in a beanbag here.
Yes, I haven't been in a beanbag. It's killer, man. I love it.
Thank you.
Flower beanbag. But I think that the key thing about it is, if I would say one thing, would be, don't try to figure it out on your own. So many people call me and like, is this workers' comp or is this workers' comp? And the important thing to know is that let us tell you.
Okay.
It doesn't cost you anything to get involved. Workers' comp, one of the things that comes up quite a bit is people think that they're not covered until they clock in. Okay, this comes up all the time, which is not the case. So, if you're an employee and you are getting out of your car in the parking lot to walk into work, once you're on that parking lot, you are covered. So even before you clock in, workers' comp's a no-fault system. So I just had a conversation with someone today who was in an auto accident while working, a city employee, and they were concerned that the police report found them at fault, for the accident. And for what I do, workers' comp, it's completely irrelevant. Fault doesn't matter.
Fault doesn't matter.
So you don't. It doesn't have to be. You can be just mindless and do something you're not supposed to do. You can walk out on the floor that was just waxed. Clearly, you shouldn't do that. But workers' comp, the way it was structured, it's a no-fault system. So they can't blame you and say, because you caused the accident, we're not covering you. So, let's say you're a UPS driver.
Yes.
Okay, and you're texting. You're in a big brown truck and you're texting away, right? And you don't see the person in front of you and hit them. Clearly, you're at fault. You still have a comp case. Okay, you still have a comp case.
So regardless of who's at fault, but if you do get hurt or what have you, yes, you.
Yeah, and again, this, let us help you figure that out. Right? You don't need to go research it, but basically, if you're injured on the job, it's worth a call to find out. Even if you have a question about it, is this workers' comp? Is it not? And I'll tell you, listen, I want to be very direct with my clients about, we're very upfront and honest here. Not always what our clients want to hear. We want them to know the truth, and so we'll tell you. If we don't think you have a case, we'll tell you that we don't think it's a case. And but most of the times, if it's a work injury, it is. There's really two different types of accidents in Maryland. One's an accidental injury, slip and fall, for example, in the parking lot. You're a police officer and you're injured during an arrest. You're an MTA bus operator and you're involved in a motor vehicle accident. You're injured at a specific date and time. Okay. The second type of case is called an occupational disease. So the most common type that people think of is carpal tunnel. Right. So if all you do all day is type for a living, right? If you do it one day, that's not going to cause carpal tunnel. If you're doing the same thing over 5, 10, 15 years, that can cause carpal tunnel. Okay. Shoulder impingement for people who do overhead work. Those sort of things are occupational diseases as opposed to a specific incident. And they have different kind of regulations and laws to them, but we deal with both of them on a consistent basis.
Wow.
Yeah.
So us working with multiple work injuries, everything that he just said those are all new information. That's why we're doing all of these programs out there, in order to provide a little bit more education or information. Yeah. And I think the most important thing is be safe out there. But obviously accidents do happen. And if accidents do happen, even if it's not your fault, and I think that's what I was trying to clarify earlier, that I don't want to push back from my superiors or supervisors, because I know I'm not supposed to be doing that, but that's what it is. And then not clocked in, as you mentioned. If you're exactly walking there and then something happened, then that's going to be part of this. Bottom line is, like what he said, go ahead and talk to a lawyer, talk to an attorney, and you've seen all of these ads out there. Always talk to a lawyer. They're here to help us out, especially because we are not experts of this field, and they're here to represent you and your needs. And sometimes we may think we've covered all bases, but that's why they're experts. That's why they've studied and gained all the necessary experiences to go ahead and identify exactly what you can go ahead and identify that could be reimbursed or what have you.
Yeah.
So again, nobody wants these to happen, but again, these things do happen. So go ahead and make sure that you touch base with one, and as mentioned, it's no cost to you. So might as well be guided with a professional to go ahead and help you out. Just go ahead and make sure everything is clear, that all the I's are dotted and the T's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dashed. So, all right. So anything else that you want to go ahead and share?
No, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
You know, we've had our practice, started our practice 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years, yeah.
So our website is shultzlegal.com, shultzlegal.com. We have a great staff here that do an awesome job, and we're committed to getting you better and getting back to work, and doing it in a way that you're educated, that you're kept in the loop about what's going on with your case, and that we're here to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible.
And that's what it is. For us, we work with all of the individuals that you go ahead and work with. We communicate with your doctors and other medical professionals, lawyers, if need be, and that's why we're here, to go ahead and have Attorney Shultz as our guest. So thank you for sharing the website, a phone number to reach out to you.
Yeah, 410-870-9562. Again, go to the website or find us on Facebook. Hopefully we can tag it maybe.
Yes, definitely.
The Facebook page off of this, and so you can get us that way as well.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Thanks, man.